But yeah, moving on to this next thing, man. Recently Tank Davis, he had posted some footage of him and Ivan Redkach sparring, and in the footage it showed him getting the best of Ivan Redkach, really dogging him and going out at him. And I've been looking on Instagram and Twitter, and certain people have been saying different things. Professional fighters, they kind of chimed in as far as the code about sparring and what to post and when not to post. Some people were blaming Ivan about his team not telling people to delete this or shut your phone off. And then you got the other people, like just the casual fans, saying Tank is a monster again, saying he don't need to be sparring this way. But I think the one thing people forget too is Ivan Redkach is a 147. He's a welterweight, and Tank is a little guy. He's a 130. So all of that aside, they're both men, and how he can handle it. To me, that's not my point about it. My point is more so about the code. Like, what was your take on it?
Like you say, Ant. I mean, of course, looking at the video, Tank wasn't 130 pounds in the video.
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he wasn't. No.
Who knows where his weight was at, but he was definitely in there fighting a legitimate welterweight who had been in there with Danny Garcia,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we talked about a little bit off the mic, and somebody brought up a good point that that maybe the game is changing. I don't know. I'm just bringing up this point. But the guy said, we haven't heard Ivan Redkach's name as much as we heard it in the last week. And that's all because of the footage that Tank Davis put up. You know what I'm saying? The fact that he posted it really kind of turned into a whole nother thing for Ivan Redkach. So, from that standpoint, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. We come from the era of boxing where, footage is not leaked. But just think about this, and if we had video of Errol Spence sparring Mayweather, who knows where that footage would have took Errol Spence right now?
Yeah.
Or a few years ago, if we had visual to that, you know what I'm saying?
Because the word of mouth alone put him on the map.
Yeah. So what if we had a couple highlights of him dropping Floyd or having Floyd in the corner? It could be
the AB sparring.
Yeah, or the AB thing. Who knows what this footage would have did for certain people's careers? So I don't know, and I'm on the fence about it. Ivan. When I go on Instagram, I wouldn't mind seeing sparring sessions. I'm not saying every bit of it, but before I want to see you in the club and you talking stupid and jewelry and cars all the time, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was such a bad idea. I didn't even look at it that way, and as it was, foreign sparring footage being leaked because he announced he was going live with some sparring footage. Tank did. So I thought everybody was cool with it. So I don't know, man, but I mean the one thing, Ivan Redkach, his stock definitely went up since that Tank posted that.
Yeah, it definitely has, and it's like you say too, man. It's like I don't think of it as a bad thing because remember, it's not the whole session. It's not the whole session. People can post what they want, so Ivan, he still got a leg to stand on to say, oh, they posted what they wanted to post. I still was able to hold my own. So when you look at it, it's like not all a bad thing because going back to what you're saying, like at least we know fighters are doing something right now.
Yeah.
Besides just like you said, posting, going to the club, Instagram live at the club. I don't care about that. I want to see some activity.
Yeah. And I mean, even with the sparring footage, it was bits and pieces. The thing I took from it, Ant, is even if Tank didn't win the sparring session, the fact that he was in there with a welterweight kind of having his way at any point is impressive, in my opinion. For a guy that fights at 130, 135 to be in there with a legitimate 147-pound guy and having some success. It's not about beating that guy or you saw the footage. It was like, oh, he would destroy. We don't know what would happen, but we did see a dog in there holding his own. You know what I'm saying? So that's another aspect of the footage to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if these guys were to fight, that's not a guarantee to who will win if those guys met up. But it was just interesting to just see this little pit bull in there with this Great Dane, you know what I'm saying? And they tangling, you know, whatever. So, you know, but it's like anything, man. You can't draw a whole lot from a sparring session. You know what I mean? But
and then,
look, Errol Spence did that to Floyd Mayweather in sparring, but nobody ever said Errol Spence would beat Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
Nobody ever said that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No, nobody's ever said that. Like, they hear the stories, but they still can never say for sure that he is the next best thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because everybody knows sparring is sparring and a fight is a fight.
A fight is two different things. I mean, the sparring is behind the scenes. The fight is on the biggest stage. You know, it's a lot of different factors that come into play. So I'm just saying, you know, it wasn't like they reveal some secrets that we didn't know about. It's sparring. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so like I say, I do get where we come from, where it was a secret, but you know, even when it was a secret, and we wanted to see it. You know what I'm saying? The fans still wanted to see it. You know,
still wanted to see it,
so,
man.
I mean, shoot.
Would you mention in that, man? Like, as far as these being secrets and not so much anymore. Like, do you think more fighters should kind of post sparring footage now? Like, even if it had to be more like controlled footage, you know, as a way more so to kind of
market. Yeah. I mean, think about it, man. Do we want to see more stunting, or do we want to see more sparring from a boxer? I mean, do we want to look and see him buying jewelry and him? I mean, I get it. That's cool. Sometimes you want to show that, but when I think of a fighter, I don't think of a Bentley and jewelry and you know, some of the stuff they posting. I think of a guy sparring. I think of a guy in the hot gym. I think of a guy sweaty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that I think of when I think of a fighter. You know, now if you're an influencer or you something else, I mean, I get it. They doing anything to get attention, but your attention comes from fighting. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, while you are fighting, I think that should be the main, you know, focus. But, you know, and once again, in today's world, Twitter and social media and all these things, man, it really puts a spin on the game. Any given second, at any given time, if you feel any type of way, you can type it and put it out there and you know, see what happens.
I think that it would be cool too, because I mean, like, if you know, let's say if you know that you're going to use this as marketing footage on Instagram, it can be more so controlled sparring, you know. And when you think about it too, like Ivan Redkach and Tank, like, do you really think they're gonna cross paths anyway in a real fight? No. So it's like you getting work from somebody else because from another weight class. Did you think about it? Like, going back to the UFC, you look at DC, he in there rolling with some of these lighter guys, you know.
Oh, yeah, Khabib. Yeah.
And then after that, you got like Dustin Poirier might be in there rolling with some of the ladies.
Right.
So it's kind of like, we know that y'all are getting work from each other, so why not just show a little bit of? Ain't nobody saying you got to show your whole training regimen, but just show somebody a little bit.
And I mean, and of course, if you get knocked out with sparring, that's not nothing you want to post. We get that. You know, that's a given. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I mean, that happens in sparring too. You know what I mean? The guy who knocks you out, he's going to want to post that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. Yeah. So, but like I say, man, I'm not totally opposed to it being done in a tasteful way. You know, like I say, it's not like Tank Davis was in there with 115-pound guy and just like bullying them. No, he was in there with a bigger guy and looked like he was bullying them. So, I mean, it's not a whole lot bad I can say about that. I can't feel bad for Ivan Redkach. It wasn't like they added up, you know, put all the stuff against him. You know, it was 2 men in the ring, and you know,
and hey,
you could have been doing him like that, you know.
Yeah, you got the tools too, so that's why they put you in there with the Tank. And at the same time, like I said, he fights at a lower weight than you. Granted, like you said, maybe a little heavier, but you know, his main weight is 130, 135, and you probably blow up to at least 150, 60. So
Yeah.
y'all got the same tools, you know?
And then think about it from this end. You know, Tank Davis went live. He didn't know what was going to happen. He could have got knocked out.
Yeah.
So he took the chance with putting that on live, not knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in that aspect alone, I mean, this new generation might be feeling that. And, you know, they might be feeling, yo, he did, you know, he live, anything can happen live. It's not posted footage. It was live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, that's a whole nother realm, man. You putting something on the line too, going live.
Yeah, because hey, if people understand, once it go live, somebody else already trying to get it.
Yeah, it's already getting screenshot or recorded, and then
Screenshot or
you
recorded.
can't take it back, and you get dropped. That's on there.
That's on there, man.
So you know, you got to think about that aspect too. Tank Davis doing this was risky.
Mm-hmm. But I was looking too on Twitter. You know, a few people were commenting. You know, some different fighters. You know, Errol. You know, he said he never really breaks a code on sparring. You know, which is cool. You know, he said that it's not a thing for him to really put out too many stories. But he said to him from the footage he saw, Ivan looked a little bit hurt. But again, you know, some other fighter was saying, hey, man, like, it's one thing though. Like, Tank probably could have just edited something together, posted that up, you know, posted that little excerpt of it, and then it just kind of got the people talking now. But again, too, like, it's not really a bad thing nowadays because, you know, when people see you in there with the name, whoever it is, it's going to build your stock. You know,
yeah, definitely. If you in there with like a superstar, you know what I mean?
Because think Ivan, like, if he is who he is, it ain't going to really break him because look at Conor McGregor and Paulie, that sparring. Remember that?
Yeah.
People posted that.
Since the Tank and Ivan thing, I mean, Ivan and Broner have been going back and forth. So this could send him into another nice payday. I mean, we got to remember, Ivan is not a superstar. Nobody's really calling or checking for him. So, you know, I mean, all this is kind of working out for him. You know what I mean? Regardless of how he feels about it. You know what I mean? He's getting the 5 minutes of fame. He's talking. He's trolling Adrian Broner. He's trolling, you know, Gervonta. So he having a good time with the whole thing.
And I saw Ashley Theophane. He had chimed in and he was kind of giving his 2 cents on how the whole thing went. And then Ivan, he went back at him, and Ivan was like, "You need to stay retired." And like they was kind of going back and forth. So yeah, man, Ivan getting in a new realm.
It's taking on a life of his own, all from, you know, the sparring footage. And like you say, you know, Tank got a fight coming up, you know, supposedly. So, I mean, you know, I mean, it seemed like a calculated move, and I don't think it was the worst thing. I mean, it's no different than celebrity dropping a sex tape when they about to come out with a movie or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you get that buzz going, but you know, Tank, you know, people taking different stuff from the footage. I mean, mind you, Ivan Redkach is a legitimate 147-pound guy, but it's not like Tank was in there doing that to Sean Porter or top 10 welterweight. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of different ways to look at it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of different ways to look at it.
Yeah, there's still some fighters that we know got some type of stock that needs to kind of be held to a certain, you know, degree where you can't post certain things. You know what I mean? Like you say, if that was like Porter and Tank, you couldn't post Porter getting buzzed up in that fight at all. You know what I mean?
That would be different, man.
Yeah.
That would be different. You talking about 2 boxing stars, and you know they have the image and brands to protect. That's a little different, but you know this wasn't really so much that case. You know, most casuals didn't even know who Ivan was. They know him now because of Tank Davis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'll say this too before we wrap this one up is like, I think the thing too, man, like people just got to remember, man, this is the fight game. Who said this is going to be pretty? Like, even if it is controlled sparring, somebody is going to maybe snap at one point to let the dog go, man. Like, because you still training for a fight. I don't like the comments where people are saying Tank was being rude. How do you use rude in a in a sparring session. You know, they said he was being too much, or like they hope he get knocked out. Again, it's going to be on somebody like Tank that they say that to. But granted, if it was Loma beating up on Ivan Redkach, it'd be like great. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I mean, mind you, dude, the spawn footage, it looked like the doghouse. I mean, Tank, they was wide. This wasn't.
They was wide open, all of them.
Yeah, they was wide open. I mean, Tank was throwing haymakers. It wasn't high level at all. It was intense. You know, it wasn't high level at all. But
shoot, Ivan the one had his shirt off like he was in an actual fight. I mean, Tank still had his shirt on like he was just, you know, getting some exhibition, you know, some not exhibition, but some workout rounds in. But exactly. I was like, yo, this, and again, man, Tank is a guy that's gonna want to show improve, man. Like, how he gonna look in there getting bullied, and you know, he is the guy with the star power, you know.
Exactly.
That's what it all come down to. And Ivan, man, like, you got to take this any way you can, because stardom don't come to everybody, you know. Every opportunity you got to be used to your advantage. So like, if you feel like you were outclassed him at a point, you post that. You know, you get that footage posted, or you tell your story. You know, Dillian White, he be telling his story about Deontay Wilder all day, you know. So he got stories, so people will tune in when you say you got a story, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, before we jump to that topic, yeah, what's your last take on that, P, about sparring, like posting it?
Like I said, man, I mean, it is a unspoken rule that, you know, that stuff used to be kept under wraps, but you know, in the internet age, I don't think it's such a bad thing, Ant, because, like I said, I mean, a fighter, and then think about this, Ant. Tank Davis went live sparring at the time of the pandemic when there's no boxing on. We're looking for this type of stuff, so it could be a new lane. I mean, we're in a different time right now, Ant, where any given day stuff is getting invented, and it wasn't this way yesterday, but guess what? Moving forward, it's this way. So, you know, we're not having no boxing. We haven't seen Tank fighting, so that was good for some people to see him getting some work in. You know what I mean? That's just my thing. I'm kind of on the fence about it, and I don't want to say yay or nay, but I understand both sides of it. I understand how an older guy could be like, yo, that's not right. And I can see how the newer guys are like, yo, this is the new wave, yo, this is marketing. This is what UFC is doing. This is what other sports are doing.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I just had to see what happens, and because like the stuff that's changing for the younger generation, that hasn't changed long enough for us to see the results. So we don't know what will happen from showing sparring footage 10 years from now. You know what I mean? Because it's just starting to happen. Now, we don't know if it's a bad thing, if it needs to go, you know what I mean? We don't know the effects of...
Even a month from now, too. Like, we still don't know what it could do, right?
Yeah, it could do, because it didn't used to be done. So that's kind of my take on it, and it's a new, fresh thing to see. It's still new, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I agree with you on some of those points, too, man, because it's just something that we kind of got to take and run with it, see if it's kind of like a fad thing, you know?